In the second part of this episode with Singapore's legendary pop icon Dick Lee and gifted singer, songwriter and musician Sezali, we continue the conversation on the journey to discover the Singapore sound. What does it take for a Singaporean artist to lean in to their roots, their heritage, their language, and make it part of the music?
Like, just to jump on that real quick, my immediate feeling about that is that, like, Singaporean artists, sometimes we are a little bit out of touch with our roots. I feel, or rather, I was when I started out.
No, I agree with you. I think,
so it's a process of discovery for sure, because of the nature of what surrounds us. I think it's because of the situation where you're in. It's not always. A good example is that my family doesn't even remember the previous generation, where exactly they're from or where their family is from, and so that's very difficult for me. I want to learn more. But some aunties say you are from this kampong, some aunties say you are from that kampong. Because when we emigrated here, being a second generation Singaporeans, right? My grandparents wanted to forget. They did not want to remember. Their life was so difficult when they moved here searching for a new life, and they wanted to put their kids as Malay so that they can get boomy or whatever. They're like,
I'll do it.
You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, no, don't do that. You're going to erase everything. But that's just the nature and circumstance of the difficulty of the life.
But you two are one of the more aware people that I've met. I mean,
I wouldn't say but yeah.
No, in terms of heritage, almost everyone I know, best friend, everything, they don't know where their grandmother was born.
Correct, because we are young immigrants and we want to forget,
Oh no, not that they have no interest.
They have no interest.
Yeah, it's different. They are not
interest.
I mean, but why would they? Until I go and ask them to go, please go and find out. But
I think
it never occurred to them.
I wanted to find out because existential crisis, bro. Seriously,
same, yeah. Same.
What am I?
Who am I? What am I supposed to be?
I'm like minority here, I'm minority there. What am I? But I cannot deny, wherever I go, even if it's India, I love Chennai. We've done 9 films there in the industry and stuff. But when you come back to Singapore, it's home, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, that doesn't change. I want to know what was this whole process that you're talking about, right? Was it a conflicting element or a complementary element when you write songs?
Both. Yeah, it's both. There's conflict in it because there's always this question mark of like, I will never truly know where I'm from. I have a rough idea of where exactly geographically, what happened, why they moved, all this. I don't know. I don't know how hard life was for them. And I can only assume from like inference and stories, right?
Yeah.
And the beauty of that is it's a blank slate of some sort. Because you get to form your own identity of what it means to be a Singaporean Malay in this day and age. Singaporean Malays generally know that most of us, right? If you ask them, and I've only recently realized this from TikTok comments of going like, there's this TikTok of like, I'm not actually Malay, I'm mixed. And then people in the comments are all like, oh, I'm actually Banjaris, mixed Bugis, mixed what? And
yeah, most of
people
the Malays in Singapore are actually ethnically
different.
Indonesian,
very diverse.
Originally.
So it's not that we are unaware of it, but we all, because of our need for societal unity, we adopt the Malay thing. It's okay, we are Malay.
Okay,
as long as we get to be together under this umbrella.
This is interesting. If you can say that, right? That never mind whatever it is, wherever you're from, you just adopt this Malay thing. We should do the same for the Singapore identity, psyche.
For sure.
Wherever it is you're from Singapore. I think that's all that matters right now. And I think whatever it is that you've learned for insight,
and I think we lean into our heritage and roots not to create divisions, but rather for our own understanding so that we can share.
Yeah.
Because when we share
project
knowledge with each other, we get together, we develop a deeper understanding, you see. And I think that's why we as artists are curious about our heritage and our roots. And that empowers our art as well. Dick, does it conflict or complement you till today when you sit down to explore your roots?
I gave up trying. And I know you're going through it and you must go through it. You have to go through it. I went through it. But I gave up trying so hard. I just said, okay, I'm going to stop all this thinking about my ethnicity and all of the roots and all that. I just be. Because I've learned all this in my research, in my exploration. I've tried putting everything in, and I've tried writing melodies. I've written for China. I've tried it all. Okay, now stop trying. Just be. And hope that everything that I've learned somehow has been infused.
Yes.
Fusion,
subconsciously,
naturally, and whatever will come out will naturally come out.
Agree.
And so Home came out.
Yeah.
And Singaporeans relate to it. Why? Because of what? The Chinese sounding tune, or what the tablas playing in the background? No, what is it?
You want to know my opinion? I have very strong opinions
Go
of
for
Home.
it. Yeah.
My opinion is that the melody of this ballad melody is something Asian people can relate, because it's in our media a lot, in our dramas and whatever, right, since last time. But also, when you close your eyes, the depiction of the lyrics in Home, the river that brings us life. When I was writing my National Day song, I used that as a reference of how did Dick do this? Oh, there's a lot of inference. There's actually a lot of visualizations that you included.
Which we...
It doesn't need to be the Kucheng sound or a Chinese melody, but it's the visualization of where you are. I want to make you feel like you are there sitting at the Singapore River, learning about, last time this is this, now this is this. And that song, to me, its success is really that. If you close your eyes, you feel that you're in Singapore.
If I was to add on to that, of course, I can relate to that too. For me, one of the key secrets of success for Home is that because all the songs before Home were to galvanize the community, rah, sing along, stand up, that kind of thing. But Home came in, and Home was like, this is NDP, you don't need to stand up, you can feel right. I'm going to tell you a different story about Singapore.
People got in touch with their emotions for once.
I'm not going to tell you, we are strong, we are this, we are that. I'm going to tell you when you're feeling alone, when you're feeling low, how do you feel?
That.
That's the thing, that's the thing about Home. When Home came about, that's the thing that resonated with most Singaporeans, because that was after the Asian financial crisis as well, right? So the timing, and because he was so sincere, genuine, organic, he probably is intellectualizing a process that happened very instinctively. Now we are sitting down talking about it, but that's what's happened, right? Because it was a genuine response to the times, and Dick Lee, the artist, was responding to that.
Well, I wrote it when I was away and homesick. So the homesickness comes through.
I would imagine that.
But something that I don't know if you know, but might destroy your image of the song, was that in the outline for the competition, the brief was write a song about the river.
Well, that was a good brief.
That's why the river.
Okay.
The river as a metaphor. So that was the theme, lah.
Yeah,
that's why it's like that.
I love that you're talking about this brief that all of us have got before. The brief.
Yeah.
I was blessed because I had no brief. Singing out was ground up. You see, I did it with my own effort, my own money, and stuff like that. So in that way. Because I think there will be an idea of what a Tamil song should be by people who are not Tamil.
But not only a Tamil song, a Singapore Tamil song.
Sorry?
A Singaporean song.
Yeah, a Singaporean Tamil song. And that's the reason why, the song's going through its evolution. Dick said that, we need an upbeat version too. And actually we have it this year. We have an upbeat version.
Okay.
The MD for this year, Wen Fu, has created. It's really sounding dope. It sounds like an anthem with a boom, boom, pop, that kind of thing. So I'm very, very excited to premiere it to the people.
That is
and we have also changed the phrasing a little bit for this version. Instead of boo me, instead of making this, it's just boo me, so that everybody can sing along.
When I was writing my album, I was singing the national anthem to my Indonesian friends. And something that they brought up to me, right, that they found really interesting is that, kok mulanya menuju bahagia ya? It's like, that's the first thing in your national anthem is you want the people to go towards happiness.
Yes. Onward.
When that really sank in with me, I'm like, oh my God, it's in our art, in our artistry, right? We've always tried to galvanize society in this way that our national anthem has sort of set forth a path for all of us artists. Like when you as a Singaporean artist, you wake up every day singing the national anthem, in your mind, when you write a song, you're like, this has to be leading everyone into a positive space.
Oh, I love that.
Or rather for me, and
I love that,
we have enough of whatever is going on in our hectic lives to not make this the foundation of when we wake up every day, go to school, mari kita sama-sama menuju bahagia, cita-cita kita yang mulia, you know. Our dreams that are pure. Oh my God.
It's so poetic.
It's the most poetic national anthem to me. I love our national anthem.
And let our voices soar together in unity. That's the the next part of it, right?
But the beauty of it is like, it's happiness before progress. We need to remind each other that every day on a daily basis. It's like happiness before progress. And not saying progress is not important, but progress without happiness is chaos.
Nothing,
For sure. And
sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I love that. I mean, that's the point of art and music once again, right? We're here to remind, and that's why, we celebrate all the works. We're talking about progress and happiness and the struggle. I think we can't leave the conversation without talking about this particular topic, which is all of us have been part of the whole idol movement in some capacity. So the struggle of a Singaporean artist, hopefully those who are watching, some of them can also learn, like, how do you move from face to face? I always tell people, someone asked me, how is it for you before you go on stage? Like,
I have to start with this by saying that Dick Lee was always super kind to me.
No, man.
Because you're so good.
Because you're good lah.
I didn't believe I was good, but I believed I was good because Dick Lee in the dressing room would drop by. Hey, how are you? Can I talk to you? How are you? Just like casually.
That's what he does. Yeah, that's what he does.
out of his own goodwill, right? As like big brother or whatever, to make sure that you're okay. Just do you'll be fine. And to me, that's like, someone like that, and take time out of his day.
You were very insecure.
I'm still very insecure.
Okay, much better now. But you were the one that I spotted from the beginning that I was so worried wouldn't make it. The other two,
I was too.
The other two are like a bit cocky and some very confident. But you were the one that I thought.
But it was really thanks to him. Like he really saw it in himself to kind of encourage me in whatever way he did.
Yeah.
And because me coming from music school, right? Going into a music competition, there was something inside me that felt like this wasn't right. Inherently, I knew that all these people were much better than me, but I also felt like I was good in my own right, and it wasn't right to put us all in this benchmark. But it's a reality show, it's a competition. I knew what I wanted out of it. Like my goal was always, I want a recording contract. Because everybody else wanted to, I want to be a singer, I want to write songs. Mine was, I want a recording contract specifically because I've been writing songs all my life and I know this is what I want to do. Even if you give me the contract and I'm not the artist, I'll be fine with it, It's like Mick Tabitha Nauzer, the artist, I'll write all the songs.
You got to learn to think, they put me here, so there must be something.
For sure, yeah.
I'm still struggling with that a little bit.
No, you shouldn't. Like, you got this amount of followers or listeners. Why?
Yeah.
If you think you're no good, then why do you have that?
But that's interesting. Like the whole artist journey for me is, some people started out with this all done already. Then they're sure they have their first album.
Yeah.
Mine came at like my third album. Then I'm actually okay. I'm doing okay.
No, but that's not true. That's not true. Because you were launched having won that contest.
That's true.
So that's
But I was in national service.
I know, but you still have that. That's true.
That's true.
A lot of people don't have that.
That's true.
advantage.
I was very privileged.
But
you too.
Yeah,
You
but
too.
with that comes the insecurity where people make you less of a musician and more of an icon.
True also.
And you're constantly slammed with these comments. Like when I won, of course, I think I was blessed with one of the biggest bass supports from the Indian community. Like after a long time, a lot of people came together and people were saying that we have never heard the TV theatre roar like that, in years and stuff like that. But also there were a lot of people who were like sometimes from the fraternity, sometimes outside, saying that, but he's not a real singer or something.
How do you feel
like
now?
that.
Like after you've achieved like all this tremendous work, right? That you own self did, bro.
Yeah, I think there's of course there's a lot more that I would like to do, but the first thing is for me is I never saw myself as a singer. I saw myself as a composer, songwriter, firstly. So when I entered this competition, I was just like, okay, if I can sing, then I can make an album and I can, make songs and I can go to India, do for films and stuff like that. That was the trajectory that I wanted at that point. And then I came in and won the contest, right? I didn't expect to win. But after I won it, it gave me the opportunity to cut the first album. But the Tamil industry is very different because the Tamil scene is almost non-existent, in all honesty. Why? Think about it. We don't even,
you mean?
in Singapore, we don't even have a category in Compass for Tamil songs.
What?
No category.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we don't.
Is it just because of the population base of writers?
It's too small. We don't have a developed scene. We don't have platforms. We don't have population. We don't have a critical audience base, a listenership base. Also, there are different struggles because the Tamil music industry is completely influenced and propagated by the film music industry. Now it's changing. Indie is kind of picking up. But when I came in, indie was non-existent.
Yeah.
Like myself and Yogi B from Malaysia and a few other people. There's just a few of us, you see. So it was very difficult to create a sound and for it to be accepted by the audience because the audience are all listening to film songs.
Yeah.
And Hindi, are they listening more to Hindi?
Both. Like, they listen to Hindi and Tamil is also very popular. Tamil music is also very popular. But Tamil songs is a different commercial engine when they come from India under the film background because you've got Shah Rukh Khan, you've got Rajinikanth, all the big actors, putting their support behind the songs, and you're just like one indie artist from Singapore.
You went from the road straight away to the highway.
Exactly, yeah. So nobody is caring for you at this point. You got to build your audience bit by bit, you see. Singapore is too small. Malaysia have got a lot of their own artists. India are not accepted. Then where the you go? You just have non-existent industries.
I feel that.
So that when I started off was a huge struggle for me as an artist. But then I kind of went on. I released my first album and the thing kind of sold out. And then the second album came about, Traffic, and that also did very well in Malaysia. So I started building a critical audience. Then I signed my first film in India, and then now of course we are on our 9th film in India, and we're doing pretty all right. There was once a friend of mine was relating, and I've heard this before. There was a line dance troupe in the back of a lorry, okay? And it was Thaipusam, okay? And these folks who are carrying the kavadi, playing Thaipusam, they were playing the beat. The line dance troupe that was waiting in the traffic joined them.
Oh, man, that's
beautiful.
Yeah.
They joined in. And they created this sound where it was electrifying.
Yeah.
And everybody was like joining in and they loved it. They loved it at that moment. Now that is the Singapore
What
sound.
a moment.
Now how can we record that, bring that, express that, organize that, proliferate that and bring it out to people? Because I think there is power in that. Yeah. There is power in that. It's very potent. But we need, like what Dick did back then, I think we need to be more conscious. We need that contraction episodes too, because if there was no contraction, then Matt Chinaman, Fried Rice Paradise won't happen and Home wouldn't have happened because it's the whole journey, right? That
if there's no tension, there's no release.
There you go, yeah. So currently, like what you're doing with the whole, tropical vibe and, the lyricism that you're exploring with Bahasa and English, that needs to happen.
Continue, please.
Exactly. Yeah. And a portal is going to open for Sezairi further, right?
Yeah.
And for Shabir, there is the whole India is like one of the oldest musical traditions in the world, right? And also one of the most spiritual.
Wow, you get to be a part of all that,
countries.
Man.
Yeah, I know. So when you read those texts, when you understand that, then how is that transpiring into your music? But where is the Singaporean meeting? Well, the Singaporean meets when I read Confucius, when I read Sun Tzu, because someone in Chennai is not going to read that. Chances are very low, but I get to experience it, you see, at the end of the day. And I know how the timbre of the dragon, dance drums and the line, dance drums and stuff. And I know the timbre of the Anak Rebana, Ibu Rebana, and I know how to bring these things together. Yeah. That's what I should be doing more, but I don't do it enough.
No, and also what is important for both of you is that you have to go and do your music or wherever you go, whoever listens to you must say, oh, that's a Singapore artist. Not a Javanese.
That's going to be a challenge, isn't it? Yeah,
you have to go to India and everyone recognizes that you are from Singapore. This music sounds Singaporean, or there's something Singaporean in.
Yeah, that's been very interesting for me also, just traveling out of Singapore and learning new things and playing in front of a different audience who assumes that I am one of them, but then listen to me talk and get confused. Wait a minute. You mean we've been listening to Guy and he's not Indonesian at all? He looks like one of us? Oh my God. And then telling the story of, wait, I am one of you. A different passport and whatever. And then the consciousness of, wait a minute, this is much bigger than all of us.
Yeah.
It's always about starting that conversation.
Do they promote you as a Singaporean artist? So that's important.
Yeah. So
you also?
Same.
Wherever you go.
The only Indonesians, they're very like, they're in their own bubble where they have their own production of their own content that funnels in. They don't need anything from outside.
They're huge, man. Yeah.
So like,
I mean,
I
their
think
market so
the first
big enough.
Malaysian artist that really broke Indonesia was also Sheila Majid. And that was like really weird for me because I grew up only listening to Sheila Majid.
you're
Sheila
inspired
Majid
by
is
Sheila
the
Majid.
only Malay artist I listened to growing up because she was an eclectic blend of Japanese, pop, jazz, city pop at that time, right? And that was the only thing I listened to. Years on, the mastering and mixing engineer that worked on my album worked on with Sheila Majid too. And just
Whoa,
all
full
the
circle, man.
all the full circle moments coming back to rediscovering my heritage, and then following in the footsteps of the artists who have ended up in the same places as I have, but before me, and learning from that and collaborating on that. It really makes me realize that within this Nusantara region, right, there's so much that we can explore in terms of sharing music, a touring circuit.
Yeah.
If we can get all the governments to come together and make the visas easier for musicians to travel between each country, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam.
But isn't it already open, what?
It's
Quite
not
open.
that as easy as you think. Fourth, like every Western A&R or record label exec has been telling me that Southeast Asia and Brazil is where we are looking at. Southeast Asia, Latin America. Southeast Asia, Latin America. And I'm like, the Southeast Asians don't know that you are trying to do this here. We are still trying to look at going out.
Yeah.
You know, so I do believe that
But
in the next
ASEAN
couple
is
of
big.
years,
ASEAN is growing.
ASEAN has, so get this, okay? Streaming numbers. If an Indonesian artist gets a number one album, they are automatically in the global top 50 because they have a population of 275 million. Just think about that. Like, everyone's...
That's our disadvantage, right? I mean, if you want to go country
You can
by
think about
country.
it as an advantage also
But
because...
can't you see it regionally then? We have to be part of a region.
And then if we galvanize regionally, Thailand has more than Indo in terms of streaming. They have less population, but they have more population that's already hooked onto digital streaming platforms. So like, if you combine all of this, right? Everybody obviously has their own language and whatever, but in this banner of English Southeast Asian music, just imagine
I love that, yeah.
the number of people here untapped who have never heard Thai English artists, Indonesian English artists,
Yeah.
people who over there who have never heard of Singaporean English artists. Because when I ask them like, who's a Singaporean English artist, they don't know anybody. They only know Sheila Majid and Siti Nurhaliza from Malaysia.
Right.
And so the potential for discovery is absolutely insane. Indonesian English artists like Pamungkas, for example, right, came here and did a gig. The amount of people that showed up, right, I'm just like, wait. You mean this is an indie artist? And so we need to stop thinking about like having a benchmark of our music like it needs to be K-pop or something. It doesn't need to be here.
Right.
There's a lot here.
There are multiple lanes that you can take.
Yeah, there's so many layers. There's so many lanes
I gotta
nowadays.
share with you this what I experienced when I was an A&R. I don't know if you know this, but I was in A&R in Sony Music Asia for
When?
3 years, 97 to 2001.
Okay.
98, sorry. So I was in the regional office of Sony. Okay, head of A&R for whole Asia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know
it
that
was it was a tough job because I thought it would be just creative. I look after all the A&R managers of every country, right? But what I ended up having to do, like besides all the traveling, I up to Bombay, I couldn't get Malaysia to sign Indonesians and vice versa.
Correct.
Does it still exist?
There is this
Yes.
cultural thing that that is like standing in the way, and it's not. It doesn't make sense, but it's like that. I couldn't get Taiwanese Sony to sign Hong Kong Sony.
Yeah.
They all look down
It's
on
still
it.
ish, like that ish.
Is it still?
Yeah.
But
Still
it-
ish.
for the
But the
Chinese-
barriers are really breaking down
It's breaking down.
because the youth
They don't care.
More open
more-
lah now, yeah.
they're very cognizant of political things.
Divisions.
Like they are very cognizant of divisions set forth by themselves, their predecessors, and their whoever's on top.
Yeah.
So enjoying music to me, like playing Java jazz, for example, right, is a eye-opening experience for me. Because when I was sound checking 1 hour before we started, they opened the door and people started rushing in, running
While
to get
you are sound checking.
while I'm sound checking,
That's
running
quite
to the
discerning.
front, and I'm like, I turned around to my manager and said, "Who's before me?" And it's like, "There's no one before you. They are
Here
here
for
for
you."
you." And that was like something flipped in me. I was like, nah, no way. Like, there's always this insecurity of like, they're not here.
But and Java Jive is about music only. They don't care about anything, just music. So
and that was my first time performing to an audience, like culturally educated in music, everything. Like people there to see how good you are. And the exchange becomes very, it becomes much more than a regular gig, I feel. When you do music festivals where people are there to be open, not there to see their favorite artists and support. They're there to discover and be open.
An experience,
It's something that I feel like we don't really have because we, this might be a blanket statement. Except for music lovers, it's a blanket statement that we are super stressed out. Yeah. Every Singaporean does not have time in their day to pick up their kids from primary school, go back, still want to go concert. Oh my God, tomorrow I got to wake up at 5 to send my... There's like no room for catharsis in the enjoyment of music, which makes me sad a little bit because of the necessity of things. Like I know this is not what you want. This is not what we all want.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the nature of the working class in Singapore. We don't have time. Too much is happening. And I feel like the cultural change will happen when there's an awakening of consciousness in the society where it's like, hey, wait, we need to balance this out properly. Post-pandemic, people are going out for gigs more than ever now in Singapore. I personally see like twice the number of people showing up to open free gigs that I do, you know? And it's like this notion of like, life is short. Why are we so stressed out?
Yeah.
Let's enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you because when I go to perform in Malaysia or India, I see the difference.
They're more relaxed.
For sure. And I mean, Singapore, Tamil and Indian community is my core audience and it's never changed, you know. I'm so grateful that they still remember me and they love me and they still support me and stuff. And that was the reason, you see, that you always need a foundational audience. Like Dick was saying, his core audience, right? That's my core audience. But from there, I was able to grow. And when I did a gig in JB, you know, a couple of years ago, they formed Human Chain. And they say, Shabir, wait here, stay back. The gig is over. Letting me out, you know, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so you kind of experience the love. And Malaysian audience have been really showing me a lot of love. And recent times, India as well, you know, when you go for the college festival visits and stuff, you can see that they don't hold back. They really let it out. And I really, really hope that Singaporeans also get an opportunity to experience that kind of freedom, you know, with time. And, you know, as you
said, we are an anxious group of people who are like, should I like this? You know,
no, but remember something, Singapore is 80% Chinese, right? And you want to be Singaporean, a Singaporean, you got to reach out to them, you know, this 80%.
That's why you are saying English, huh? When you write
this is the thing that will, and what the Singaporeans will recognize in your music is the thing that we've taken for granted that we've grown up with. You know, the sounds, the taipuzams, the visa, all of that is just inherent in us. It's the new us, you know. And whatever music you make will have that. I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
And if you bring your Malay, Java, whatever into it,
they'll appreciate.
We will recognize it, and it will just, we won't recognize it. Oh, this part sounds very Malay. We won't feel that. If you slip a Malay word in, we won't notice.
Yeah. But I think, Sezari, there is a paradigm shift because I've got two daughters who are 15 and 16. This generation, they're more aware, they're cognizant that...
Woke.
I mean, now it's become a bad word. But yeah, they're cognizant of the fact that Singapore is very stressful and they don't want to run into that rat race. So they want to design careers and lifestyle which will support creativity. And I really, really think hopefully in time to come, you know, our leaders also observe the fact that Singaporeans want a slight change in this. We want to work, but we also want to live. We want a balance, you see. And
it's
I think, it's happening already, and I believe that it will change gradually, probably, but the change will happen, and we will arrive at that point here. And I think that's the thing, like, you know, at that point, people will be able to really enjoy and also create. There'll be more creators coming from Singapore.
I think then people will be more aware also of how difficult it is to create.
For sure.
Yeah, and that starts your audience being culturally and musically educated also, is that you're playing to a group of people who know how difficult it is to play guitar. Not like people don't know what you're doing or whatever, you know.
And the thing is, Singaporeans are wonderful, okay? Seriously, like 2 days back I had a gig, 2 English songs and 1 Tamil songs. the way they vibe to the English song is the same way they vibe to the Tamil song. And especially the younger generation. They're throwing their hands in the air like that for the Tamil song.
The Singaporean audience has really changed the past 5 years, I feel.
For sure. I agree with you. I agree. And I think Dick would have observed that too, the change, I mean, your time would have been so difficult, right? When in the beginning,
There was no YouTube, remember? I have to go to library, to every secondary school to perform,
Yeah.
That was the way I got.
That's crazy.
Promoted myself.
I feel like a lot of us operate in our own silos. Like we don't come together as much as we could. It's of course because we're fighting our own battles and we're going into our own lanes. But then again, like I always say that it is not very difficult for me to record a good song next week if I'm inspired to. It's not like I'm in India and I have to go find someone in China. Like we're all here, you know. So everything is available, and I always use that in my music as much as I can in my film soundtracks and stuff. But do I do it enough? No. So what I would like to do is a project where I take the soundtrack approach. Now, fusion has got a few approaches, right? There's the whole harmonic fusion, where the melody is in a particular instrument and the harmony is from a different instrument. And there's the whole, contrapuntal fusion, where, the counterpoint is in a different instrument and sitar and erhu maybe, example, that kind of thing. And then there's the sequential fusion. This is the Malay section. This is the Chinese, this is the Indian section, that kind of thing. But I see there's a final option, which is the soundtrack approach. Yeah. Of course, there are many other fusions like jazz and Hindustani music, etc. But I see one option which is very potent, which is soundtrack approach. This is how Black Panther score is created, where you bring Africa and you bring EDM elements, hip-hop elements together. This is how Lion King is created.
That's the world music.
That's the world music angle, absolutely, which Dick has already dabbled in, you see. I'm seeing it from a soundtrack perspective, not from a pop perspective. Example like what, something like what Snarky Puppy did with the We Like It Here album. It was crazy.
Oh, that was
I love that, man. Yeah. And what they did in Coke Studio in India and Pakistan, where they will bring like someone from Balochistan, which is a desert tribal region, and they will bring like a pop singer and they'll put them together, see what happens. I want to see what happens when we come together in soundtracks like that. So my wish, closing the entire, series is I hope that one day I can create an album where I meld Singaporean elements and I go crazy with it. Like I take the good song, I put it through a distortion pedal, and I play it, I get it to play together with the sitar, which is an octave up, and someone on like the blues guitar kind of thing. I want to create these experiments because they're all around me, but I don't do it, you see. I want to do it. I want to try. I want to experiment with languages. I want to create rhyme schemes for all the languages and see how they land. I want to work with Singapore poets and create something. So I would like to create an album of sorts. Hopefully, as Dick said, I take it as a blessing that, we can do a follow-up for this and, we can do an album for that. And maybe something like that is done and it gets identified with us. And maybe one day in the next generation, someone wins a Grammy for it. If Grammy's still relevant.
Yeah, you could take this to the world. In a way, Matchai Man did that.
For sure.
Was trying to do that. And it got me to Asia.
There you go. Yeah.
So I think you need to do it.
So the soundtrack approach is super potent because it requires you to do intense research. That means you cannot say that, okay, I'm just going to throw in a gamelan in the hook section, boom. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You have to get really deep and intimate
too
with
easy.
the thing.
In fact, anyone with GarageBand can do
it, absolutely, yeah. So you have to understand what the instrument
the philosophy of why it's being put together.
Why it's used. Is it a mystical reason or is it an entertainment, tool?
And you know what? You know what I realized about making music actually? Is that when you're from the outside perspective and you hear something beautiful like a soundtrack or fusion or whatever, you're like, wow, what an intricate piece of work. But when you're making it, right, it's actually down to the basic elements. It doesn't need to be that complicated. Like I was talking about the classical guitar that I use, like I was thinking like, I have to think about all these intricate, deep concepts where this is the most personal thing that I could ever share with anyone on why I chose to play a classical guitar,
The person who made the music didn't think that anything like that, right?
It's like intuitive, right?
Yeah. What comes to you naturally, like, I'm in the forefront of the whole soundtrack thing. Yeah. So I see immense possibilities, which I myself have not explored yet, but I would love to.
And if you put various Singaporean artists of different perspectives, right, that will become intuitive also. It's not like you have to go in and tell them, we have to fuse this. You just, do.
There you go, like a shaman,
Yeah,
just
correct.
throw them
exactly. You're the shaman.
You're
just like, do it.
That's what I would like to do. Like what Dick said, just let go and just go mad with it. Just
and
have fun
don't think
with
of the word fusion. Just do.
No, that's
just do it. Just do it. If it's natural,
do it with what you've learned now since, say, Matt Chan Man of 1989, through the years and what you've gone through, just do it with everything that you know. That's all, and that's all that needs to be. Don't force it.
Yeah. Sezari, closing words?
Thank you guys for having this conversation. You guys are both people that that have inspired me a lot in my career. Actually, I remember so many times being in dressing rooms with you, bro.
Yeah,
where you're on your laptop mixing. I mean, like, I'm down here playing my Game Boy. This guy mixing audio on Logic, and thank you so much for all this encouragement over the years, and for really believing that I could be where I am today, even when I didn't. It's just a nice full circle moment today, guys. Thank you so much.
Tell the audience.
Thank you for listening to Singapore music. I think Singapore music has always had its core audience of people who philosophically believe that this is something that can be more, and that audience has moved with me through many years. I think some of them I've seen have kids now, so I'm sure you also, like, some of your audience
grandkids.
I've grown with you, and I'm just very thankful, that, like, I'm part of their journey, they're part of my journey,
For sure.
and we are all part of each other's journey in that way. Yeah.
Actually, likewise, I wouldn't be here without the Singapore audience. They supported me.
We champion you, Digley.
From day one. I mean, from 1974, they have always been there. When I do a show every year because they come.
Yeah.
Never mind what audience I have abroad, but this is the most important audience. So thank you, Singapore. And thank you to you for having this this show, Shabir. I mean, this is a very good chance to, like, we haven't really talked
at all like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge blessing because when we thought about what we want to do with this project, because I'm someone who's always asking questions about identity, language, culture, and I'm very patriotic. I mean, I am, there are things which I love, there are things which I don't agree with, but I love my country at the end of the day. And I'm always asking this question because I do see my own daughters sometimes navigating through identity crisis. So I think it's important to kind of get, wisdom from Digley so that, the next generation can be informed. And I think it's important for artists like us who are traveling, struggling, at the same time, thriving in the industry and sharing those struggles so that, everyone feels a certain sense of camaraderie and companionship, and they know that they're not in this journey of discovering themselves, on their own, and we are with them in that sense, and our music is with them too. So once again, thank you so much for gracing the round table.
Thank you.
Sezari, Sezali, and Digley. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
There's no one bad dog.